So what did Trump get out of this?
He was humiliated, and he really humiliated the country, because this is the worst negotiation I've ever seen. He gave Vladimir Putin everything he wanted up front, which is to be treated as a peer, to ride in the beast, the presidential limousine, and really just to be treated as someone who's on par with the American president. Vladimir Putin is a war criminal who was wanted by the International Criminal Court for transporting children illegally. He's not on par with the president of the United States, but Donald Trump gave him that. And really, this kind of parallels the situation in Gaza, which is you've got these real estate developers leading these negotiations, and they have no idea what they're doing. The American taxpayer has spent nearly $200 billion on this war, and we've gotten nothing out of it. That is the real issue. Our allies should be at the table along with Donald Trump. We should have the French and the Germans and the Italians helping lead this conversation.
Just testing how far they can go and seeing their limits?
I think they are. I don't see this as being the first effort that they're going to, I'm sorry, the last effort they're going to put forth in trying to take over a state. Look, what's interesting is the Republican Party is the party of states' rights, allegedly. But I've not heard any Republican elected officials step forward and speak out about the idea that Donald Trump is trying to take over Washington, D.C. And the reality is that there are many D.C. residents that would love a further police and law enforcement presence in the city. But there are two issues. The Trump White House and Republicans in Congress gutted $1 billion from D.C.'s budget that could have been used to hire more cops, which is what they need. And also the troops that have been sent into the streets are hanging out in Georgetown and DuPont Circle harassing students instead of going to Northeast and Southeast, where many residents there would actually like an escalated presence. I think that as we look at what Donald Trump is doing here, it's a test balloon in terms of what the courts and the country will let him do.
But, you know, Michael, GOP voters, they respond to the issue of public safety and crime rates. They generally do not support federal takeover of local authority. So how do those things collide here? Is it okay as long as it's seen as a liberal area affecting people that they don't agree with?
Public safety is an emotional issue. And so you can't respond to public safety by saying, well, this statistics don't resonate with the emotion that you feel when you see crime in a city, which is why Republicans are doing this. Democrats can't answer and say, well, crime is at a 30-year low in D.C., so that answers this question. The reality is that D.C. needs more cops. The reality is that people see more crime. And so what needs to happen is more cops should be hired, and Donald Trump should provide that funding instead of withholding it as he did last year. And so that is the answer to this. But if you're a Democrat, you can't have this argument about the statistics proving people's eyes wrong. That doesn't resonate.
What is Obama's role in this moment within the party and the country overall?
This is a hard question for me to answer. I started my career with President Obama when he was a senator and sort of rode through that journey with him. And so I know how hard that was for him at a personal level. And so I think that he's done enough. He's delivered Obamacare, which was 50 million Americans having health care who couldn't have it before. That's the most consequential thing, I think, in our generation. And so the question of what he owes the party and everyone else in this era and going forward, I think is actually nothing. I think he's actually done his job, and it's sort of the job of other leaders. And we have other great leaders like Hakeem Jeffries and Wes Moore and all these other people who can easily fill that role. And so I don't think there is any sort of responsibility that Barack Obama has right now, because he's delivered so much for the country and for the Democratic Party. And let's not forget, when he came into office in 2009, the economy was in free fall. He rescued the economy. And so when we ask ourselves, what does Barack Obama owe us? The answer is nothing, because he's given us so much. It is now time for others to step up.